in Microsoft Azure. I will be explaining you on how to implement infrastructure components such as virtual network, virtual machines, web and mobile applications, and storage in Azure. I will be also explaining you on how to plan for and manage Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, and configure integration of Azure AD with on-prem Active Directory domain services. After the complete video series, you will know on how to describe Azure architecture components including infrastructure tools and portals, implement and manage virtual networking with Azure and to connect to on-prem environment, plan and create Azure virtual machines, configure, manage and monitor Azure VMs to optimize their availability and reliability, implement Microsoft Azure App Services, plan and implement storage backups and recovery services. Plan on implementing data services based on Azure SQL database. Deploy, configure, monitor, and diagnose cloud services as well. During this entire series, we would be concentrating more on Azure Active Directory. I will teach you on how to manage Azure Active Directory. Learn on how to integrate on-prem ADDS with Azure Active Directory. We would also talk about how we can automate operations in Azure management by using Azure automations. Now, we will start off with introduction to Microsoft Azure. Introduction to Microsoft Azure, which will introduce you to cloud solutions in general and then focus on the services that Azure offers. In this series, we will then describe the Azure portal that you can use to manage your Azure subscription services. We would also have a look at the Azure PowerShell module and command line interface as scripting technologies. You can use these to manage Azure. In this series, I would also help you with the explanation and guidance on Azure Resource Manager. Organizations are increasingly moving IT workload to the cloud. So IT professionals like us need to understand the principle that forms the basis of cloud solutions and learn how to deploy and manage cloud app services and infrastructure. IT professionals also who are planning to use Microsoft Azure must learn about the services that Microsoft Azure provides and how to manage them. In this series, I will introduce you with the cloud solutions in general and then focus on the services that Azure offers. The module goes on to describe the portal that you can use to manage Azure solutions and services. Lastly, we will go ahead and talk about the various resources like Azure Resource Manager and Azure Management Service. After completing the series, you will be able to identify suitable applications for the cloud identity services and capabilities that Azure provide. We will be able to use Azure Portal to manage Azure services and subscription. We will be able to use Azure PowerShell and Azure command line interface to manage Azure services and subscription. We will be able to use Azure Resource Manager, and on how we can use Azure Management Services to extend the management and the monitoring of Azure.